warming is one of the most worrisome issues that all of humanity faces. Its consequences only grow more dangerous and irreversible the more it remains unaddressed and ignored. One of the many obstacles of addressing this situation is how the news and media cover it. Even though global warming is a topic of numerous debates, there is often misinformation on the situation or not enough information at all. Recently, the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released a report explaining the dire need for addressing climate change. However, not enough coverage or clarity came from it. In why media needs to turn up the temperature on climate change, they explain many have not gained what they should have from this report, not because the report was dull or inconsequential, but because the global warming is still proving unable to willing to grapple adequately with the story of our warming planet. The purpose of my paper is to provide a summary of the current events and news surrounding global warming and its effective and ineffective means of persuasion. The news uses several different methods of persuasion in order to convince its audience on the causes and effects of global warming and also how we should address it. Such as scientific evidence, it also uses fear to convince us of the severity of the consequences, as well as appealing to our individual responsibility to contribute to global warming prevention. One of the most effective persuasive methods the news utilizes for global warming is logic. Global warming is based off science and fact, which makes its claims hard to discredit unless met with factual evidence that disproves its validity. In the article, U.S. Climate Report warns of damaged environments, shrinking economy, the author discusses the potential impacts that global warming will have if it is not addressed and provided with policies to help prevent it. The author explains this by providing evidence from a scientific paper issued from 13 federal agencies which predicts climate changes and its effects. They also support this paper's credibility by mentioning that the previous report from 2014, which predicted damage global warming had already caused and how it was utilized by the Obama administration to write climate change regulations. The information discussed can be trusted since that it is credible and backed with scientific evidence. The article effectively persuades the audience in believing that it is logical that all of the consequences written out in the report will happen if met with inaction. The article ends with fully describing how climate change was capable of affecting the economy and agriculture and how it had been done before, providing more evidence. Global warming is an issue that must be addressed with several consequences already affecting our lives right now, from natural disasters like wildfires, droughts, and heat waves to impacts on our agriculture and economy as well. Despite the fatal impacts of global warming that have already begun, there is still not enough information and coverage for it, as if it isn't an urgent and severe issue that impacts everyone on Earth. The longer the world is inactive on this issue, the more severe it gets. If governments don't act decisively by 2035 to fight climate change, humanity could cross a point of no return, after which limiting global warming below 2 degrees Celsius in 2100 will be unlikely, according to a new study. The research also shows the deadline to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius has already passed unless radical climate action is taken. We have already passed the point of theory and discussion for global warming. At this point, we need to make the drastic change. Both individuals and companies should be called to contribute. The best way to spread the awareness on this problem is through effective news that provides information on global warming and how to prevent it.